Good evening, everybody. How are you? I hope everybody's doing well out there in YouTube land. Give me just a moment here and let me get the chat up here on my phone. I hope you guys are doing well tonight. We're going to talk about the latest updates with Maleah Davis. And we're going to discuss a few things here tonight. So I originally had this scheduled for 3:30, but I postponed this for 7 for a few reasons. And so thanks for joining tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you. So I'm going to refrain from, doing my normal call outs because we've got, a little bit more people in the room, but hello to all of you. And I want to talk about the latest information on the Maleah Davis case. And so I don't know if you guys heard, but there was a very special, and I want to start this off on a good note. And I'll actually share this with you. There was actually a very, very special. Dang it. There we go. There was a very special thing that happened today for Maleah. The city of Houston did a proclamation and has made June the 9th Maleah Davis Day. I want to actually show you this particular proclamation that was ordered. I also seen Maleah's father, Craig, share this on his Instagram. I also received this from other people, on Instagram as well. And I just want to show this to you guys. So basically here, this is the proclamation in its entirety, and we're just going to really quickly read through this. I thought this was very, very, kind, and it was a really nice thing to do. So the city of Houston is dedicated to maintaining an environment where our youth can enjoy childhood filled with heartwarming memories and growing experiences. Yet tragically, Maleah Davis was taken much too soon. Although the circumstances surrounding the disappearance and death of Maleah Davis were heartbreaking, the community is united in creating lasting changes in her honor and vowing to safeguard all children in our community. Amongst calls for justice, may those who knew and loved her all find peace and comfort during these trying times. On June the 9th, 2019, the lights of City Hall will turn pink, which was Maleah Davis's favorite color. As family, friends, and the Houston community gather in remembrance for a very sweet, beautiful, and innocent little girl. The city of Houston is honored to join the family and friends of Maleah Davis, as well as the community, in remembering her and extend sincere condolences on this day of remembrance, as her life and her beautiful spirit will never be forgotten. Therefore, I, Sylvester Turner, Mayor of the City of Houston, hereby proclaim June 9th, 2019 as Maleah Davis Day in Houston, Texas. And of course, that's, the seal and the mayor's signature. And I thought that was a really, really awesome thing, especially with everything that's happened and all of the questions and things like that surrounding this story. Now let's get to the not so great parts of this story. I have been waiting and sitting on, information. Really quick, let me stop this. Let me put the camera on. I have actually been awaiting information and was hoping it would happen today, but it looks like it did not. And so that's another reason why this live got rescheduled. But that's okay. We still have some things we need to discuss. There are still new things happening on this case every single day, including today. And so we're going to discuss those latest updates. And one thing that I want to put out here now, but we will get to this, a little later in the show, is I think it's really disgusting that Brittany and her friend Nusi is out here begging for money on Facebook. Um, they're out here begging for money. We all know, I've told you guys about this, this Facebook group that they had. It's called like Globally Searching for Maleahs. And unfortunately, as part of joining the group, they wanted everyone to donate $1. Now, this is a group that Brittany is completely and absolutely was involved in, a part of, was an admin of, including her friends. And now I've been told she's not an admin on that group anymore, but to me, it really doesn't matter because your friends are still admins on that group. And the fact that there seems to be a lot of money grabbing going on right now, it really disgusts me. And Maleah's been found, she's been brought home. And, there's no reason to be out here begging people for donations. Okay. Nussy, Brittany, your other friends, Jeanette. We're going to talk about how Jeanette Gus, who was supposedly not friends with Brittany Bowens anymore, has now started a nonprofit. Could this get any more disgusting? Jeanette Gus is the same best friend of Brittany Bowens that took her to the airport the day that everything happened, the day that a lot of people believe Maleah was killed. Jeanette Gus was lied to by Brittany. Jeanette Gus put, comments on Facebook that Brittany told her Maleah was in daycare that morning. And so for her to start a nonprofit, I just am like flabbergasted. These are like the wrong people, I feel like, that should be starting nonprofits and out here begging for money. There's nothing to pay for. There was a $27,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Maleah. And these ladies were still out here begging for money. And ultimately, Brittany is behind that. Best believe that. Now, I have been trying to get information on any sort of homegoing or funeral information. There is nothing set in stone yet about Maleah Davis's funeral. I honestly would not be surprised if her funeral was streamed live on, one of the news stations down in Houston. But if any of you have any information on the funeral or any current who's currently working. Now, I did see some information that there are 2 people that are actually working to set up the arrangements. I didn't see that Brittany was part of that. So I really don't know what to say to that. I mean, as a mother, it's not like she's been like convicted of anything. She's not in jail, charged with anything. So, I just think about the fact, like, if I, as a mother, was going through a situation like this, nobody else would be making funeral arrangements for my child. But I digress. So let's go ahead and get started on the latest news with Derion Vence. Now, I did a live yesterday and I said I was going to, reserve this conversation for today because we had just been going for quite a while last night. And so I want to talk more about the fact that Derion Vence is now claiming that he didn't kill Maleah Davis. And then I also want to go into Quanell X and all of these spree of interviews that he's doing. And the fact that it seems like some facts are kind of changing a little bit the more interviews that he does. I'm just saying. So give me just a second. Let's see here. I'm going to actually bring up first the information regarding Derion. So let me go ahead and share that out real quick. All right. And if any of you guys, missed her wonderful interview yesterday, let me play a little portion of this before we get to Derion's story.
Some children don't have that. And it gives me peace to know that my daughter knew before she left this earth that I loved her. And I will always love her. I make sure of that. Even with my sons, I tell them every day that I love them. Because that's the mother that I am. I'm very affectionate towards my children. They need to feel loved. I love when they're under me. Because I know I can oversee.
Yeah. Okay. So, needless to say, this woman here, yesterday we talked about this. She did this interview, and honestly, I don't think the interview did her any justice, to be completely honest with you. I felt like the interview was very dry. I felt like, I took notes on it actually, but we'll get to that later. We've got some other things to cover now. I showed also text messages to you guys yesterday. And, during that live stream between Derion and Brittany Vence, these are the text messages that, were sent the morning that Brittany left. And so the two things that I really, really, really want to dive into is some of the investigational things that are going on. And the fact that Derion Vence is claiming that he hasn't killed anyone. So let me go actually to KHOU's site, because Chauncey Glover was that ABC 13? It might have been ABC 13 that did the interview with him. There's a video that I actually want to play, and it was ABC 13. So shout out to them regarding this particular Jailhouse interview that they did with Derion Vence. He says that he's not a killer. And I want to go ahead and play this here, and then we'll continue.
This is what he told me, quote, I want to go to this graphic right here. He said, quote, I ain't no killer, bro. Chauncey, I love Maleah so much. I did for her more than her own parents. I never had a biological daughter. I wouldn't do anything to hurt her. That's not me. Ask anyone who knows me, and they will tell you I'm not that type of dude, and I was good with the kids. Now, he also talked about how he spent his 27th birthday in there. He also talked about how he's not able to watch the news or pay attention with what's going on in the media involving the case with Malia, but he says other inmates have been telling him bits and pieces, but he says what people are painting him out to be, which is a killer, an alleged killer, he says that is not him. I'll have more on this very emotional Jailhouse interview coming up on the news tonight at 10.
All right, so this was yesterday, and we were actually live, and we checked, ABC 13, after 10 to see if there was any update by Chauncey Glover on this particular case, and we did not see one at that time. So we're going to go ahead. They actually have a Malia. Let me go ahead and see if I can find that article here. KHOU has actually a Maleah Davis section where they're covering the Maleah Davis story. Let me actually find the article here really quickly. It should be at the bottom of this one, or at least, let's see here. Give me a second. Yes, here we go. All right. So this is the video that I want to show you guys. This is regarding Chauncey Glover's Jailhouse conversation with Derion Vence. I'm just going to let him speak at this point. It's pretty much exactly this article. And we read this article yesterday where, Derion said that he should be at home cooking dinner and watching Netflix with the kids and Brittany. Okay, dude. So let's go ahead. This is the latest. Let's go ahead and play this. This is 9 minutes, everyone. So here we go.
Aspen.
Actually, hold on a second. We got commercials, of course, and I want to make sure while that commercial goes away, I want to make sure that nothing else is playing. All right. Here we go. And we'll let this commercial, Jack in the Box, shout out to them, but shout out to ABC 13 for this interview. Really,
$4.99.
Here we go.
Hello, you're watching ABC13.com with anchor reporter Chauncey Glover. He visited Derion Vence, the suspect in the disappearance and unfortunately the death of Maleah Davis, who has basically captured the hearts and minds of everyone in Houston. So what did you take out of this conversation you had with Vence?
Well, just like I said on air earlier, as a journalist, it's not our jobs to determine if someone is guilty or innocent, or to get a confession out of them. That's up to police, and the courts will decide guilty or innocent. But I will say, I did walk away knowing and feeling that there is more to this story. And the DA's office is saying they're still investigating. They're saying that if more evidence supports that they will upgrade the charges, or more charges will come as they continue the investigation. But right now, the DA's office is saying they just want to get justice for this little girl. And in talking to Maleah, talking about Maleah to Derion Vence, he was very, very emotional. I'm talking about tears. He was shaking. It was slow in the beginning. He didn't have too much to say. But every time I mentioned Maleah, or every time he spoke about this little girl, he became more and more emotional. And I asked him point blank, "Did you kill Maleah?" He was like, "No, I did not kill her. I would not hurt this little girl." He talked about how much he loved her. He talked about how bright she was, even after her brain surgery. And he was very adamant in letting me know how much he loved Maleah. He said, "You can ask my family members, anyone who knows me, even my coworkers," he said, "they will tell you that I love this little girl. I did my best to take care of her." He says, "Even my coworkers knew sometimes I would call out from work because she was sick, or because I had to tend to her." So he also talked about this video here, the birthday party. And he talked about that is a reflection, a true reflection of their relationship. I did ask him also about the mother, Brittany Bowens. He said he had not spoken to her since all of this went down. He said that he had been trying to reach her, and he said he does still want to talk with her. But one thing that sort of struck me is how sincere he was when he talked about Maleah, when he talked about his family. At one point, he even said, "Hey, I spent my 27th birthday in here." He said, "I should be at home watching Netflix and cooking and spending time with Brittany and the kids, but I'm here in jail." And he knows, what people are thinking. He says, "I know people out there think I'm a killer, and they're painting me as this guy." He says, "But I'm not that dude." He says, "I would never hurt her like this." We also talked about the allegations, those claims of Brittany confronting him about him being gay, and that sort of what set him off to make him, quote, snap and possibly harm Maleah. He said that is not true at all. He said he is not gay, and he said he didn't do anything to harm her. He said this, once again, this is what he went back to at the end of each thought. "I loved her. I would not harm her, and I am no killer."
As obviously, you described a very emotional person. Quite a stark contrast from when we saw him in the first court appearance. He was looking down. He was almost emotionless. Is there any takeaway from that?
Well, he was very stoic then, and he described to me a feeling of, "I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening." And he also talked about how he heard that people said that he felt no remorse. And he says, "That's not true." He says, "I haven't slept. I haven't eaten." He says, this has been on his mind. And he also, I did ask him those tough questions. I said, but what about the trash bag? And what about her body? How did it end up in Arkansas, dumped in a trash bag on the side of the road. He didn't want to talk about the specifics of those things and the specifics of the investigation without his attorney being present. But when it came to questions about the family makeup, when it came to questions about Maleah, he was very forthcoming because in that moment, at that time I shared with him, he wanted me to realize how much he loved this girl. He talked about birthdays. He talked about the trip to the beach. He talked about how he spent a lot of time with her, even more than her mother.
Let's talk about his environment currently. You did touch on how he's being treated inside jail. Let's talk about that.
So right now he's in isolation, and the guards had to do what they called freeze the floor before they brought him out to meet with me, meaning they had to have all the other inmates and no one else could be in that area because, as you can imagine, he is accused of this crime involving a child. So the inmates in there have been threatening him. And so the guards are aware of that, and they're trying to keep the general population away from him. So that took a while. He was one of the last inmates to come out, and we were away from everyone in a side room talking, of course, and then the telephone through the glass. But he did leave me with the feeling of there's more. And he even said, I'm going back to court July 10th. He told me he has to be back in court. He says he wants to talk to his attorney more before he shared other things with me. He really, and I keep going back to this because he kept going back to it. He really wanted me to know how much he loved this little girl. And although we know the evidence and we know the allegations, this is what he is saying from jail.
A lot of love, apparently, from Derion Vence to little Maleah. Her case has captured this whole city, this whole state, essentially.
And I talked about that. I said, how many people out there are so angry, and he said he understood that. And another interesting part of our conversation, he wanted to know more about how she was being remembered.
Right.
He wanted to. He was really concerned about just her. And at one point, he even said, "Hey, I heard they're doing something for her." And
Back. I'm back. Thank you guys. I'm really sorry about that. I've had AT&T out here as recently as yesterday, several times. I've had them out there regarding the internet service. This is actually, this is my daughter's home, but I do a lot of house sitting for her due to a new dog that she has. And, you know, I work from home a lot and the internet here. So I am really sorry about that. It seems like every time I go live, there's some sort of internet connectivity issue. So my sincerest apologies, you guys. I appreciate you guys sticking around. A lot of you guys still stuck around. I do appreciate that very, very much. I want to go back and I want to finish playing the rest of that interview because you guys didn't get to see the rest of that interview. So let me do that. Give me just a second here. If anybody works at AT&T, some DM me, please. I swear every single bill is going to be free if this mess keeps on. All right, here we go. All right. So I'm going to, again, go back just a touch and replay this interview here.
With the feeling of there's more. And he even said, you know, going back to court July 10th, he told me he has to be back in court. He says he wants to talk to his attorney more before he shared other things with me. You know, he really, and I keep going back to this because he kept going back to it. He really wanted me to know how much he loved this little girl. And although we know the evidence and we know the allegations, this is what he is saying from jail.
A lot of love, apparently, from Derion Vence to little Maleah. Her case has captured this whole city, this whole state, essentially.
And I talked about that. I said, you know how many people out there are so angry, and he said he understood that. And another interesting part of our conversation, he wanted to know more about how she was being remembered.
Right.
He wanted to. He was really concerned about just her. And at one point, he even said, "Hey, I heard they're doing something for her." And I had not heard this, but he asked me. He said, "I understand Beyonce even knows about this, and she's going to do something." And I said, "Honestly, Derion, I haven't heard of that." And to remind you, he is locked up, so he is getting a lot of second and third hand information. And, rumors and things that the other inmates are talking about and things that, other family members may be telling other inmates, and then it gets back to him. But he did tell me he hasn't been able to watch the media and figure out what's going on and also the updates with the case. But he is looking forward to his day in court, and he has more to share.
A very insightful reach into Derion Vence, and we're going to have to look forward to the days and weeks and months ahead, potentially years of this case. Very good job. Thank you very much.
And we're also, we're also kind of, still, we have the CPS case.
Of course,
that is still pending.
Okay. I know I'm not having internet problems again. Please tell me you guys can hear me right now. Please tell me y'all can hear me. Or maybe it's just a little buffer here in, oh my God. Let's see here. All right, so just to confirm, are you guys able to hear me okay? Yes, you can. Okay, great. So not sure why that just stopped like that. It still acts like it's playing, but it's buffering, so I'm not even, going to fight with it at this point because I've tried this twice. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about this Jailhouse interview. And I've been reading your guys' comments. And a lot of you feel like BB, also known as Brittany Bowens, was the one that actually performed the act that hurt Maleah, and that Derion Vence was like the fall guy who's cleaning up the mess, so to speak. And I can't tell you how many of you guys I hear that from on a daily basis. And the thing about it is that, listening to this Jailhouse interview that he had, obviously, he's PC'd up. He's in protective custody, obviously. And it seems like even the things that that we've heard, obviously, from Chauncey Glover say are completely different than what Quanell X said during some of his interviews. Have you guys seen any of Quanell X's interviews over the last couple of days? Quanell X, said this guy was heartless, had no remorse, et cetera, et cetera. But Chauncey Glover gives us a different perspective. And I'm not sure why. Is it possible that Quanell X was a little cocky and arrogant himself, and maybe that was the way that Derion responded to him? Is it possible that Derion felt he was an adversary because he had been working with Brittany, or he had dropped Brittany? Like, we don't know. But even the way that Quanell X has talked about how their conversation happened, I wouldn't be surprised if Derion felt a certain kind of way and maybe was a little cocky based on how maybe Quanell may have been handling him. But then when you have someone like Chauncey Glover come in and talk to him, Chauncey Glover is a much more, he speaks much more lightly. I'm not saying Quanell X, doesn't speak in a professional way. I'm just saying that Chauncey Glover's demeanor, the way he talks, it's lighter. It's could be conveyed a little bit, or it could say that he's a little bit more friendly sounding. He may, have went in there with a completely different attitude than what Quanell X went in there with, right? And so that is kind of what my perspective is in regards to the differences, because a lot of people were asking, how is it that Quanell X can say the guy doesn't have remorse, but Chauncey Glover comes out saying the guy is showing remorse, he's crying, etc. And so I think, what's really important to be said here is with this Jailhouse interview that Derion Vence did, my thing is this: her body was found after he confessed. Now, there is a lot of confusion around whether or not police were searching that area of Arkansas for about 3 days prior to Quanell X coming out with this confession. But so far, I have not seen anyone actually confirm that. And I even heard with my own ears, the Houston Police Department denied that. So the only thing I can go with is Quanell X was telling the truth. And there was no 3-day search going on in Hope, Arkansas, prior to the body being found, prior to Maleah's body being found. So the differences, in the demeanor that Chauncey Glover says and then what Quanell X says is night and day. And I do recognize that. But I thought it quite interesting that Derion felt like he should be at home, with Brittany and the kids watching Netflix. I don't know in what perspective he was talking, but keep in mind, it was the first time he's talked to anybody in the outside world, really, that he's probably gotten information from, not a Quanell X, from Chauncey Glover, someone who's from the news, someone who could actually relay some information to him that he's probably really not gotten, because like Chauncey Glover was saying, he's been getting nothing but hearsay. So, that is really, there was no cameras, unfortunately. I would have loved to have seen this on video, but there was no cameras. And that is as good as it gets as far as the information in regards to this particular Jailhouse interview that Chauncey Glover got from Derion Vence. Now, what I want to show you now is we're going to get into some of the legalities and some of the legal side of this case. And the fact that Derion Vence is now saying that he did not kill Maleah Davis. Yet, keep in mind, we also have a problem here with the fact that Quanell X, who got this and elicited this confession, might have hurt this case possibly because of that. And I believe that the defense is absolutely trying their best to utilize that in a manner to try to help their case. So give me a second. I'm going to reshare my screen, and I want to talk to you guys a little more about the legalities and what's going on with this case, and the fact that investigators are seizing Derion Vence's cell phone records. And when we talk about seizing cell phone records, we're not just talking about who you called and who called you. Did you know that when your cell phone records get seized, that literally the text messages can be fully read? All text messages that were sent and received during that time frame. Personally, I mean, you guys know that I'm in IT, but I also have helped in a lot of investigations in my lifetime. I've been doing it, IT over 20 years. And I've personally seen with my own eyes what records look like when you request cell phone records. When they get those text messages, they're going to see the date, the time, who sent the message, the actual text of the message. And that's because, here's a little tidbit of information if you guys didn't know this. Each of you guys who text on your cell phones, your text messages are stored in a mailbox, okay, on the servers that host your phone, whether it's T-Mobile, Verizon, whoever your cell phone provider is. These text messages don't just get sent from one phone and delivered to another phone, and that's it. There's actually there's a third party, a middle layer that hosts these text messages. Okay. When you read your text messages, a lot of times, maybe you guys have noticed this before, they might load. Or maybe you're looking at an MMS message and it has to download first. It's downloading it from a server where all of your text messages sit. So it's easy like that for me to export out somebody's text messages for their phone. Every single text message they have. All text messages are stored on a server. They are not stored on your phone. And I don't know if you guys knew that, but that's the reality. So they're seizing his cell phone records, and the importance of that is I believe, going to be text messages. So really quickly, let's go through and talk about this a little bit more here and see what authorities have to say. And then I also want to talk about how the authorities are reiterating to us that they are looking at everyone in this case. And when I say everyone, I do believe, actually, I know that Brittany is being investigated and looked at, and I know that they are looking at how to bring charges upon Brittany. I know that for a fact. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and play this very, very, very short clip. It's only 22 seconds, and then we'll continue here.
Investigators have filed a search warrant for Derion Vence's cell phone records. Among other things, it asks for geolocation information. Detectives looking for evidence to help solve Maleah Davis's death. Right now, the stepfather remains in jail, charged with tampering with a corpse. More information on khou.com. Nope.
All right. So, very, very, very quick article. So, homicide investigators said the call history stored in Vence's phone could reveal who he communicated with after the last time Maleah was seen on camera. Now, we know that, those are going to be important. Hold on, let me pause this. We know that those calls are going to be important, right? We know that. But these text messages are going to be really, really important, really important. A lot of people think that they can talk, or text, and that nobody's ever going to see them, because they think that they send these text messages to a phone and that's where the messages go. And that's just not the case. So also the call history is something that they want to look at. So essentially, they're saying that they were seizing the cell phone records from May the 15th up until, from April the 30th up until May the 15th. Homicide investigators said they have reason to believe that the call history stored in Vence's phone could reveal who he communicated with after the last time Maleah was seen on camera, which was April 30th. Okay. And anybody he talked to after April 30th is going to be important, in my opinion. It says if the missing phone is being used subsequent to defendant's claim that it was left in his Nissan, the call history data could lead investigators to the person using the phone and would provide information regarding with whom calls are being received. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but Derion's cell phone has been missing. Okay. Brittany sort of alluded to that in her little leaked text messages that I dropped weeks ago. We know that on the Fakers channel, we seen supposed cell phones coming up being found. And my understanding, it was some of Brittany's friends that found these cell phones. And so it's essential to know that Derion Vence's phone is actually really missing right now. Essentially investigators want to get the information off of that phone and who he called, who he talked to, and there's no question they're going to get it. And I don't think it's going to take them long to get it. Now, he told investigators he lost his phone on May the 3rd. Now, do you guys remember the video I showed you guys yesterday? Hold on just a sec. Let's go look at that information. This was new surveillance video that I actually enhanced. This was surveillance video was taken on May the 2nd. I want to go ahead and show this surveillance video to you because it's important in the context of the fact that there's absolutely no evidence of Maleah being seen after April 30th. None, zero. As many times as they left that house, even the day, May the 2nd, in which this video I'm going to show you shows Derion taking the oldest son to school, and he had his youngest one with him, but there was absolutely no Maleah, okay? No Maleah whatsoever. So give me just a moment. I'm going to bring that up. I actually have a full playlist dedicated to all the videos I've ever made about Maleah Davis. Hold on. No Maleah whatsoever. So give me just a moment. Damn, I hate it when that happens. Let me actually pull the video up here that I am referring to. Yes, right here. So I actually enhanced this, and I think it's important to watch it anyway. Let me make this bigger here. Now, there is no sound, you guys, to this surveillance video. So just pay really close attention to what happened. And like I said, I do enhance this footage and zoom in even. But he sure does have a cell phone in his hand. Here we go. You see him walking out with just two children. There's no Maleah there. So now I slowed it down. I kept the same frame, but just watch what he does. He's on the phone. He's smoking a cigarette. He's going to put the cigarette out. Now, here's one thing I want to point out about this surveillance footage, and I pointed this out before. Remember how Brittany said that Derion snuck Maleah home on April 30th, and the whole time that she was there before she left for the airport, she didn't even know Maleah was in the house? A lot of people did not pick up on this. Even other people that have been doing stories on the Maleah Davis case have come to me and they're like, I didn't even pick up on that. I didn't even realize that she was even home when Maleah came home on April 30th with Derion Vence. Because the way the surveillance footage looked, it was almost as if Derion Vence brought Maleah home and that was it. And, you know, then she's never seen again. But no, that's not what happened. He brought her home. Brittany was home. He turned around and left almost an hour later to go to work. And then he came back about an hour and a half later. But for some reason, Brittany doesn't want us to believe that she was home the morning that Derion brought Maleah Davis back home on April the 30th, the day she disappeared. And the only reason I can think of it and why she would continue to lie about that, and even still lying right now to this day, you know, is the fact that maybe she did something. Maybe she's the one that did something. And I also wonder if the leaked text messages that I showed you guys the other day was them talking in code. We're going to go over those really quick again, but I want you to understand that in those leaked text messages, Brittany says that she smokes out on her patio. This is her patio where he's about to put this cigarette out at, right here where my mouse is. That is her patio. Maleah and Derion were walking across the courtyard here, and they walked into her apartment down the sidewalk. She said she seen Derion but didn't see Maleah. That is impossible. Your patio is facing the area they were coming from. So let me continue to let this surveillance video play. You're going to see he puts the cigarette out right there on their patio. He's on that phone. He dumps the cigarette over the patio. Some people thought he was doing something nefarious there. Like someone mentioned he was talking to Maleah. I'm like, no, he literally just dumped the cigarette over the patio and dropped it over, you know, and dumped it over there. And then he's going to walk out with only 2 children. Now, this was May the 2nd at 7:25 a.m. Okay. We're going to see him walk out here in a second with 2 children. And that's his youngest son he has with Brittany. And that's the oldest son. And I'll refrain from speaking his name. But here you go. That's him leaving. And some people were like, what's that white beret? That's not a beret. That's not a girl. That's a boy. That is Brittany's oldest. So here's the close-up. You see him on the phone. You see him blowing smoke out. You see he's going to go put that cigarette out on this patio, and he's going to throw that cigarette butt over the patio. Okay. All right. And then he's going to go back in, and then he's going to come back out. And then that's where I really zoomed in so you could see who he walks out with. So number 1, that is his little 1-year-old. He's carrying the child. It's obvious that this is a much younger child. Okay. And here comes the second child behind him. Okay. Now look really closely here. Tennis shoes. Okay. We're going to let this go a little more. That is not a beret. That is, I don't know if there's like some white on this kid's backpack or if the backpack itself is white, but this is a boy. This is not Maleah Davis. Okay. This is not Maleah. And people were actually thinking that this was Maleah Davis. So, you know, I wanted to, and there's even a more close up. Okay. As you can see, that is not Maleah. That is a young man. That is a little boy. Okay. There's no beret there, guys. That's just his backpack. So this is the, you know, the enhanced surveillance footage. You're interested in going to look at that, feel free to go to my page. It's there for your review. You know, because not many people have actually took the time to literally enhance this and zoom in on, slow down some of this footage. Okay. So now, these cell phone records are going to be critical. And the reason why they're going to be, you know, so absolutely critical in, you know, in my opinion, is because, you know, with these leaked messages, these leaked text messages that I've been dropping on Brittany's behind, you know, actually, let me go to the first ones. She doesn't want anyone to know she was there that morning. I don't know, fully why. The only assumption that I can make from this is that she's hiding something. Okay. We know that she doesn't seem to shed tears in any of her interviews. We know that, the remorse, I mean, I just haven't seen a mother that is extremely remorseful for what's happened. And she withheld vital information. Okay. Vital information. She came out with Quanell X claiming that Derion had been abusing her children and beating on Maleah, even when she was sick and she had to have that brain surgery, and that he had molested her. It's like, how can you not tell the police this? How can you withhold this information? So these are the leaked text messages, everyone, that I dropped a couple of weeks ago. And you can see here that these messages are between Brittany Bowens and a friend of hers. And the friend, I'm not going to read all of this, but the friend basically asked her, told her that she wanted to help search. And Brittany said, Beltway 8 and Bel Air area around that park is where they were going to be searching. And I've always said that she was a horrible person to get a tip from when it came to searching for her child. Because I would not be surprised if she knew that her baby was in Arkansas and just never said anything. Because as well as I do, when he left on May the 3rd, on that, of him carrying that basket with that black trash bag in it, May the 3rd, at around 6:30 in the evening, he said he was on his way to pick his Brittany up. But he really left and went to Arkansas. And that is a 6-hour drive just to get there. And another 6 hours coming back. Not to include the time in between for stops. So she knew Derion wasn't going to pick her up at that damn airport. And she kept trying to claim, I waited for him at that airport for 2 hours. And she made this really big deal about the fact that he never showed up to pick her up. So one of the things that really jumped out to me was whenever she was asked if there was any pictures of Derion, Brittany responded and said, nah, man, I wish he had all pics in his phone and I had more in my old phone. Now, my thing is if you lost your phone on May the 3rd, why does she refer to, nah, man, I wish he had all pics in his phone? As if you have the phone. You get what I'm saying? The way that she words this, she's making it sound as if there's no pictures on his phone. Am I reading this wrong, or do you guys read that as well the same way? It's very clear. Do you have any recent pics of him or ones that show tattoos on his arms? Been looking for him as well. He needs to be found too for more questioning, and now he has went MIA. This is before he got arrested. And then she says, no, man, I wish he had all pics in his phone. To me, that says she has his phone. It's not missing. To me, that text tells me she actually has his phone. And I'll tell you one thing. If that phone has been turned on since May 3rd, believe me, the cell phone records are going to prove it. I don't care. If they just turned the phone on, the cell phone records are going to show that. So anyway, her friend says, I don't like the way the media is portraying you, but this is where Brittany gets into this alibi that she keeps trying to put out there for everybody to believe. She says she didn't do anything. She says she can't even go search for her daughter because she feels threatened. And she feels like she's been set up by that B who she was talking about, Derion. And then when she was asked, how do you feel like he sets you up? You have an alibi. You were out of town. And she really was out of town, guys. This has been verified with the airline. The police verified that she did go out of town. Her sister, Natasha, verified that she did and was at her home. And if you guys haven't seen the interview with her sister, Natasha, you need to go watch that. Tanika's News and More did an interview with her and dropped some text messages with her. And then All Access Viral Media did another interview with her yesterday. And so Brittany says, no, it's not that. The problem is I can't prove that this dude snuck her back in without me effing knowing she was there is the issue. I have proof of everything else, but I effing can't prove that ish. And if I can find this dude, I'd rip his head off my damn self. The more info I find from the cops, the more I sit here and think, the more I think about how this dude set this shit up. Now, when she was asked where was Maleah's, supposed to be, what day did he sneak her in? What are you talking about? Where was she supposed to be at? She said she was supposed to be at daycare. Really, Brittany? If she was supposed to be at daycare, then why is Derion bringing her home that morning? Okay. Now, the next page is where it really gets crazy. She says she was supposed to be at daycare, but he snuck her in the house when I wasn't around and I didn't see her come in. I only saw him. The fact that she said, I didn't see her come in, I only saw him. Really? Let me do this same search that I've been doing almost every live. Does this look like somebody that's trying to sneak somebody into the house? Like she is so far back from him in this picture, and this is the courtyard, and that surveillance video I was talking about. The porch is over here. How did she see Derion but not see Maleah? How? I don't get it. If he was trying to hide and sneak her into the house, wouldn't he be holding her? Wouldn't he be taking some sort of steps that make it seem as though he's sneaking her in? It didn't look like he was sneaking her into me. So she says he snuck her in the house when she wasn't around, when I wasn't around. I didn't see her come in. I only saw him. And here's a lie right just in this paragraph when you look at it. She was supposed to be at daycare, but he snuck her in the house when I wasn't around. So first you say you wasn't around, but then you say you didn't see her come in. You only saw Derion, so you were around. Which one is it, Brittany? She lied just in this sentence alone. She wasn't around, and then she was around because she saw Derion, but not Maleah. Then she says, when they left that morning, all three of my kids, I had already went in their room. First of all, why would you go check their room when you watched them physically leave? She says here, I saw them physically leave. So then why would you go check their room and see if they're in the room if you watched them all leave? The lies. And I think that's going to be the picture that I'm going to use on this video is that famous meme, the lies. And I'm going to put Brittany's face on that photo. I'm a smoker, so I'm always on the patio. I didn't see Ish, man. I had no reason to go back in her room. Fuck. She was asked, what day was that? And she never came out, man. This shit is killing me. She claims Maleah Davis never came out of her room. This girl was 4 years old. How does a 4-year-old, go into a small apartment and you don't even hear her? My grandbaby is going to be 4 later on this year. I know whenever she's home. This is just such a lie. We've caught her in lie after lie after lie, even these text messages. The day I left, right before my best friend came and got me to bring me to the airport. So she's saying that's the day that, that all of, that this occurred, that she was supposed to be in daycare. Right. She then says he walked right out with me talking about Derion. And then she says, Jeanette, her friend, she seen Maleah wasn't with us, man. This is the same Jeanette Gus who just started a nonprofit for Maleah Davis or something like that. It's a nonprofit that she started recently and put the paperwork out there. I'm going to show it to you guys. This is Brittany's best friend. I mean, I heard they fell out, but then I hear they're talking again. And so I just don't get it. And Jeanette even said that that Brittany told her Maleah was at daycare that morning. And I'll show you that. She says, I can't prove that shit. I just fucking can't, man. He went to work for 1 effing hour. The daycare never called me and told me she wasn't coming. Why would the daycare call you and tell you that your daughter's not coming to daycare? I mean, really, Brittany? Like, I'm so effed up about this shit. And then this person says that camera your neighbors have should be able to see him leaving with all three, then coming back with her if that's what he did. She says, Brittany says, I may not be the best parent and I may not have all my ducks in a row, but I didn't fucking know. And then she's referring to the cameras when this person said the camera should have captured, what happened. She said it does. And it shows him coming back with her while I was at the house. So she essentially verifies in screenshot 5 in these leaked text messages that I dropped May 16th that, yeah, she was home when Maleah came back with Derion. And we know that's the truth. We know Derion left. He left about almost an hour later to go to work. So Brittany Bowens and Maleah Davis were home alone for about an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes or so. So is it possible that Brittany did something to Maleah? I don't know. But we know that there's a lot of lies going on in this case. And then what's very, very interesting is she says to this person, he had her in the room as if he snuck Maleah in and then put Maleah in her room. And then she says, after I had already looked, this dude knew my routine. So she's trying to say that she checked her kid's room, okay, and that this guy, Derion, knew her routine, that's what she does, and Maleah was in her room, and that's why she didn't see her, because she had already checked. Again, why would you check? Why would you check when you watch them all physically leave? This woman's a liar. I always checked my kid's room, always. And because I had already done that and I saw them physically leave, I had no reason to look anymore. I mean, even that is a contradiction in itself. There's no reason for you to check their rooms when you watched them physically leave. He leaves with the kids. I'm home. He comes back with Maleah without me knowing. She never came out the room. She never said anything. I leave with just him and my friend seeing it, just us two. Fuck, I wish we would have came back for her food. And we were supposed to, man, damn. And the food that she's talking about Jeanette Gus's boudin. She had some boudin that apparently was her best friend's. And she asked Derion to put this boudin in the freezer. She forgot to give it to Jeanette. Again, Jeanette's the woman that took her to the airport. Okay? So when she says, we forgot the food, man, she's speaking of the boudin in the freezer. So this is why it's so important. You don't always have to be first to drop a story. What's important is when things drop in your lap and evidence comes, and more evidence comes, the story, you're able to put more together and things make more sense. And, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't try to be first when dropping stories. I don't give a damn about being first. I give a damn about being right. Now, these are the leaked text messages, and I'm not going to, go all the way through these because I do want to get to Quanell X. But these are the leaked text messages that, dropped 2 days ago, in which, this is the day that Brittany left to go to Massachusetts. She buried her father on May the 1st. The funeral or the burial was May the 1st. She never made it to the funeral, which was on April 27th. She made it to the burial. But she had been up there one time previous to that, I believe around April the 11th or so when he actually died. So basically, Derion is telling her in these screenshots, you got to stop that gay shit, bruh. It's stupid as shit. I don't even know what to say to you. I'll wait till you get home. He said, chill with that gay shit, bruh. Answer the phone. It's an emergency. This is 10:24 a.m. So 9:42 a.m. was the first text message he sent to her. And that tells me she wasn't there starting from 9:42 a.m. So when she says she left at 8:30 a.m. in the morning, I don't believe that. And I really don't believe that because I watched Derion, walk Maleah into that house. Was he going to walk her into the house and leave her home alone? Is that something that they did, a 4-year-old? Or was he walking her home to take her home to be with Brittany while he went up to work? And maybe he only worked for an hour. Maybe that was on purpose. Maybe because she was leaving for that day, he went to work and claimed he was sick and left. I don't know. That's only pure speculation. But to me, I kind of feel like these messages could be considered code in the way that they're talking to each other. Answer the phone. It's an emergency. This is at 10:24 a.m. This is 25 minutes after your last message when you told her you didn't even know what to say to her and you'll wait till she gets home. Then he texted her again a minute later, dude, answer the phone. And then 5 minutes later, he says, you childish for having your moms call me. And then 10 minutes later at 10:40, he says, headed to the emergency room. I want to know about this. Why were you headed to the emergency room? Now, Brittany responds, and this is her response, it was so weird. She said, Maleah package is at the house. He says, no, I didn't see it. Now, I heard that these were medical supplies for Maleah, and she did actually text some shipping information. And it does seem to coincide. But it says expected delivery on Tuesday, April 30th, 2019 by 8 p.m. Okay. And then I know it's hard to see behind this. But it does say here, UPS will arrive by 8 p.m. for this item. Latest status is it's out for delivery. And then here it says delivered front porch door or front door porch on April the 30th at 12:21 p.m. Okay. So they delivered it at 12:21 p.m. And the fact that she sent this at 2:22 p.m., Maleah package is at the house, it would be considered after the time that, this package would have been delivered. So maybe they are talking about a package, but a lot of, this could be looked as like, them talking in code too, but I don't want to speculate. I'm not here to speculate. I want to stick to facts. So it does appear like they're talking about a package, although a lot of people could construe that as maybe they're talking in code. But then for some reason, there are some missing text messages here to me. I received these, this was 3:37 p.m. She said, did they deliver it to a different effing address? And hey, put that boudin in the freezer. I forgot to give it to Jeanette. I mean, I see stuff like this. I'm thinking, put Maleah in the freezer. I'm thinking all sorts of type of code talk, but that's pure speculation. But you notice the dip in time there. Because the text messages begin again, why you say that. We don't know what he was saying because it's cut off for some reason. And I have a feeling that Brittany leaked these text messages, to be honest. I mean, think about it. Who else would have access to these messages? Seriously. Derion's in jail. These text messages came out 2 days ago. Derion didn't drop them. Derion didn't leak these. Derion didn't release these. I feel like Brittany did. They would have had to have come off of her phone. But what happened between 3:43 and 3:37? And what did he say? Like, what did he say to you to make you say why you say that? I might have it too. What the doctor say? why did you cut that part off, Brittany? And I say Brittany because these messages had to have come from her phone. I don't care if she sent them to a friend and the friend leaked it, although I highly doubt that. I have a feeling Brittany actually was the one to delete these. And the reason why I feel that way is, number one, the reason I just told you, she's the only one that could. She's the only other person that would have a phone or device with these messages on it. And the fact that she's on this, this strategy of going to do her interview, right, with ABC, there was a reason she did that interview. There's a reason why these text messages got leaked all of a sudden. And there's a reason why there's information cut out of them. And the only reason why, anyone would have an interest in cutting out and not giving us all of it is because they want to hide whatever was said right before that. They don't want us to know. They only want us to know what they want us to know. So Derion responds and said, my blood sugars are higher than normal. She says, oh, wow. What else they say? He says, I have AKI. She says, what's that? He says, I got to go see my doctor. Acute kidney infection, not drinking enough water. Okay. Here's the other thing I want to say. How do we know that these text messages even happened on the same day? Unless I see the whole text message in its entirety, right? Starting from when the date begins, like something of this nature here. Tuesday, April 30th, 2:22 p.m. Now, I know this was April 30th, but, unless I see that and I can actually read those messages all the way down, how do we know this isn't another day? Seriously. And all of that talk about Derion being gay, and I just seen this in the chat, all of that talk about, Derion being gay and all that stuff, he did a classic move where a man saved the number under another man's name in his phone. Quanell X, kept talking about the man was sending nudes to another man. No, it was to another woman. Darion's admitted he had another woman in his life, a side chick, a side piece. But again, going back to this, how do we know these text messages are even from April 30th? For all I know, she found text messages sent after 3:37 p.m. on another day and used those. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, I don't trust her as far as I can throw her. And believe me, I can't throw Brittany's fat ass anywhere. Okay. Seriously though. So, just really quick, I want to show you this. This is what Jeanette Gus said. Did you see the girl? She was asked this. Did you see the girl? This is the day that she took Brittany to the airport, Maleah's mother. She said, no. Did you ask about her? I can't go anywhere without someone asking about my son before they even speak to me. She told me they were at daycare. Okay. So that's what her best friend Jeanette Gus says. This is the same best friend who just started a nonprofit, you guys. A damn nonprofit, if you can believe that. Give me just a moment. I want to actually pull up some information here regarding this nonprofit. Give me a second. I just thought, I was like, really? Why of all people would you be starting a nonprofit? That doesn't even feel right. It don't even feel right. You and Brittany are back friends again. And Brittany and her friends have been out there begging on Facebook for donations. The whole Facebook group where everybody was required to donate $1. They claimed they were going to give it to people once Malia was found. And then now you've got, Jeanette, who is Brittany's best friend, starting nonprofits. Really? Is this so you can get money for whatever reason? I'm not going to pretend to sit here and act like I know everything about a nonprofit and and how, you know, those operate in regards to how money flows in and out of them. But to me, it feels very wrong for Brittany or any of her friends to start any sort of a nonprofit of any kind, especially when she's under so much suspicion. Even people, you know, are suspicious of her possibly murdering her child. Maybe Derion isn't the one that murdered the child. Okay. Seriously. Hold on a second. Let me pull this up. Oh my gosh, I just got some exclusive information. Hold on. Oh, okay. Hold on. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and save this and share this. I just got some messages. I don't know if you guys have seen these. I've not seen these. This is the first time I've seen these. These are messages on Facebook Messenger. Now, we've been, you know, asking the question, who dropped Derion off at the hospital? Seriously, who dropped Derion off at the hospital May the 4th? And a lot of people feel like either Brittany did or his brother Joe. I believe his brother's name is Joe Vence. And so a lot of people feel that way, that Brittany did, because, and the reason why they feel that way is because why was it May 4th when Derion was dropped off at the hospital? Why May 4th? That's the very same day that Brittany returned from Massachusetts. Why not May 3rd? You know, why was it the day that she came home that all of a sudden at 11:21 at night, he's getting dropped off at the hospital in Brittany's car, which she confirmed with the police, by the way. The detective showed her the surveillance footage of Derion being dropped off at the hospital in her car, the same car that supposedly went missing 24 hours before. And so really quickly, let me share this out really quick. Give me a second. One second, almost there. I'm just having to go to the files here. All right. Let me go ahead and share this now. Come on. All right, here we go. So let me open this up. Try it. It's give me just a second here. Capture one. Come on, open up. All right. So this is photos. For some reason, I'm going to have to do this a different way because it doesn't. Sometimes Google Hangouts does not see all of the different programs that, you know, you might have open for some reason. It's really weird. So you can't share them, basically. Give me a second. Let me actually do a snippet real quick, and then I'll share that. All right. All right, here we go. So I just got this. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this. This is a messenger conversation here. So why he won't just tell on her if he is innocent? Because I want to see her rot in hell. But one thing I don't understand is at first he said he walked to the hospital and then changed it to he got dropped off, which that was proven. And also, why was he stopped on the side of the road? Brittany dropped him off at the hospital. Oh, wow. So why was he on the side of the road? Did the car break down or something? So where can we find her or start to look? So you can tell that this conversation happened a while back, right? This isn't something that happened today. The response, he heard a pop, which he thought was a flat, but it wasn't. It was something else. Can't say what police asked me not to. The Mexican guys, he said, took him is a guy Brittany owed money to who didn't speak English. They was only supposed to take Maleah till Brittany paid. Now, you guys, this is pure speculation here. Do not take these as factual, things. This is pure speculation here that we're reading this. But again, many people have said that Brittany was the one that actually dropped Derion off at the hospital that night, the day she came home. Derion said in reports I've saw that they took the car. If Brittany dropped him off to the hospital, how did she get the car back if she had no money? And I saw a face in, I don't want to read that. I know a lot of people said they saw a face in a basket that he was carrying. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. And even still, I wouldn't show that on my page anyway. Let me show you the second one that I got here. And I'll go ahead and screenshot this and share it as well. All right. And this is the other one. And what day Brittany dropped him off to the hospital, because that bitch had said she was stuck at the effing airport. She lied. Her mom picked her up. She went looking for him, found him, took a picture, dropped him off at the ER. Shaking my head. Oh, wow. So she is very calculated. How did he ever get caught into this BS? So the reason why I'm comfortable in showing you those photos is because that has been a theory that I've been saying for weeks now. And the account that comes from is a source that their information has always checked out. And this particular source, their information has always checked out, and they're actually affiliated with the Houston Police Department. And I'll leave it at that. I believe and that they're building a case against Brittany Bowens. I really do. I do feel that in my heart. I feel that, and I'll speak to this only because I see other people leaving comments and saying things publicly, but I feel like they're building a case against her for either an accessory to murder or some sort of a child neglect charge of some type. There's a reason why Brittany Bowens wants us to believe that she didn't see Maleah the morning of April 30th, guys. The only possible reason why someone would lie about something like that is if they've done something wrong, there's something to hide. Outside of that, there's no reason to lie. There's no reason for the woman to sit there and tell these lies. All she had to say was, you know what? I left for the airport, 9:45 or whatever the case may be. And, they were already saying and thinking that Derion had killed Maleah after she had left while she was gone anyway. So why take all this extra effort to continually lie and try to say that and change up times that you left for the airport? Why continually put in all this effort to try to build this alibi, and just to sit up there and literally claim you didn't even know your daughter was in the home with you for an hour and a half? Even Quanell X spoke on this when he dropped Brittany. He spoke on this. He said Brittany says she wasn't there, but she was there, and she was there longer than what she says she was there. He said this in his own words. And so, the only reason why, again, I feel like you would lie about something like that is if 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 you have something to hide. Really, seriously. That's the only reason, in my opinion, that she would continually lie about this. And it's interesting that there's been no surveillance photos dropped of her leaving that morning. And I think that's because police are keeping that extremely close, extremely close. They don't want to jeopardize the case, because that would jeopardize it if they were to release that video to show the time that she left. So the last thing here that I want to go into before we talk about Quanell X a little bit here is that the Houston police chief says he's not going to leave any stone unturned. This is today. He was really clear when he said the investigation is still ongoing. He said today that his detectives are conducting an effective and very thorough investigation into the death of Maleah Davis. The chief spoke briefly about the case of Maleah Davis, the 4-year-old Houston girl who was missing for more than a month before her remains were found along a rural road hundreds of miles away. Of course, we know that was in Arkansas. And he said, cowards with no soul just dumped her like she's roadkill. And I'm just grateful we were able to bring her home. Maleah's remains were found after community activist Quanell X said her stepfather, Derion Vence, who is being held in jail on an evidence tampering charge, confessed to dumping her body in Arkansas. The chief said he's not worried about whether Vence's confession will stand up in court. And I have to be honest with you, I'm not either. I know that's something that the defense is trying to use to try to help their case. They want to try to throw out this evidence, because if they're able to get the evidence of the confession piece thrown out, then everything that comes with that evidence gets thrown out because it's considered fruit from the poisonous tree. But they've got so much other evidence on Derion Vence. I honestly don't feel like they're going to lose this case. And I do feel like it will be upgraded to capital murder. And he will be facing the death penalty or life in prison without the possibility of parole. And he gave his leverage away when he gave up Maleah's body and he didn't do a deal with the DA first. So he has no leverage. When he told Quanell X, we already knew who the suspect was exactly. As for other suspects, the chief said the department's investigation will look into all angles of the case, including allegations of abuse or institutional failings. We all have been talking about how we feel CPS failed this baby. We want to leave no stone unturned to get to the bottom of what happened to that child. Medical examiners are still working to determine the cause and manner of Maleah's death. And that's really it in regards to this particular article. Now, I know a lot of you have been asking, aren't autopsies public? Yes, they are. Certain details are public. Now, not in every state are autopsy photos public. But the details of the autopsy, when they are done, they will be released. They have not been released yet, you guys. We know, I mean, just think about it. Seriously, if you've got a body that's been out in the elements for a month, that was ran over by a lawnmower, an institutional lawnmower. We don't know if, she was dismembered. We don't know. There is talk that she was dismembered. This is what Quanell X said. But we don't know. And the conditions of those remains, it's going to take some time to try to find a cause of death, if they will be able to determine a cause of death. And even if they're not able to determine a cause of death, guys, don't give up and don't feel like there's no hope. Believe me, Maleah did not kill herself and walk to Arkansas and dump her own body. Okay. So there's absolutely, a lot of more evidence in this case. So there's no reason for us to fear. Okay. So really quickly, I want to play I want to talk about Quanell X. Okay. I want to talk about him before I end this live stream, because essentially Quanell X has been out on a spree of interviews. The last, ever since Maleah's body was found, pretty much starting the next day. And what I noticed was when he started doing the interviews, at first, he wasn't really releasing a lot of information. But as the interviews have went on day after day after day, he keeps saying more and more and more. And the only thing that I really want to say about this, and I'm saying this directly to you, Quanell, please stop talking. You did enough interviews at this point. You've gotten your point across. We got it. We got your interviews. We've watched them. But at this point, what I don't want to happen here is for you or for them to accuse you of hurting this case from a legal standpoint. And the more interviews that you do, you've already said what you had to say. There's nothing else left here. Wait until after this case gets through the legal system. You don't need to do any more interviews. We hear you loud and clear, okay? So, I just don't want Derion Vence to walk, and I don't want Brittany Bowens to walk. Now, I will say this about Quanell X. All of us have been speculating about Brittany Bowens and her involvement. All of us have been saying for the longest time we felt like she did not do enough for her daughter. She did not protect her daughter. Her own sister says it. Her own mother says it. And speaking of her mother, Brenda, by the way, her mother, Brenda, has visitation with her children. CPS took Brittany's children when all of this happened again. Second time in less than a year. First time when Maleah Davis received that skull fracture of her temporal bone and that bad front laceration in the front of her head. But her children were taken away then, and they've been taken away again after this whole situation with Maleah. Brenda, her mother, actually has visitation with those children. Brittany and Brenda are not talking right now. Brenda does not feel like Brittany is being completely truthful about everything that's happened in regards to Maleah in this case. I'm just telling you what I know. Really quick, the other thing I want to say just about Quanell X before I play this interview is please be mindful what you said. You said that you're doing this for Maleah. You said you never represented Brittany because of Brittany, although you've been changing a lot of things that you said. I don't know, but the last thing I want you to do is hurt this case from a legal standpoint. You said that you took this case for Maleah's sake. So let's think about Maleah here, and let's stop doing all these interviews. You've did enough. So now that I've said that, I'm going to play a portion of an interview here that he's done recently, which was a lot more detailed than what he has done or said in the previous interview that I showed in a previous live that I did. Now, I want to give a shout out to 97.9 The Box, Mad Hatter, who actually got this interview with Quanell X. Shout out to him. But really quickly, before I do this, let me just sort by the videos uploaded by date. I want to see what the last interview is that he has done. Because I do know that Quanell X, they're actually subpoenaing, the defense has subpoenaed Quanell X's phone records as well. It looks like, I don't see any. Well, yeah, it looks like there's another interview 14 hours ago. He feels like Brittany knew. He says Brittany knew. It's quite interesting. But the interview that I really want to play for you guys is I want to give some promotion out to Mad Hatter for getting this. Plus, this is out of Houston, 97.9 The Box. Much love to my state, Texas. Let me see here. Let me see if I can pull it up. Oh, I know I just had it, but there it is right there. There it is right there. Shout out to 97.9 The Box. Shout out to Matt Hatter for getting this interview of Quanell X, where he gets extremely detailed. He says things that he did not say in previous interviews. I thought, I said previously that maybe he did this because Mad Hatter is Muslim, because he did Quanell X did kind of allude to that a little bit, but apparently they do have a relationship. They know each other. So I want to play a portion of this. So again, shout out to 97.9 The Box. Shout out to Mad Hatter for getting this interview, on his podcast. I want to play a portion of this. Fair use, guys, please. This is for Maleah. So let's go.
There's a situation that has occurred in our city that's been going on for the last few weeks. It has disturbed the city. I'm sure it's disturbed you as well. And you've been dealing up close and personal with this family as it relates to baby Davis. I guess I'm just curious, X, how did you get involved in the first place, even going back before Mr. Vence, but going back to Miss Bowen?
All right, dear brother, let me first say thank you for having me on your show.
Yes, sir.
I greet you, your co-host, and your listening audience. And greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. Those words simply mean may peace be unto you. Thank you for allowing me to share some information with you and answer your questions. I initially got involved in this case. The best friend of Brittany reached out to me on her behalf. She and I had conversation. And then after that, I actually spoke to Derion Vance's brother. And he and I had two conversations in detail at length. And then got back on the phone with her best friend again. At that point, Brittany and I began to talk for a couple of days over the phone. And then we met face to face and we began to have conversations for hours at a time, face to face.
When you had a chance to sit down and start talking to her about the missing child and boyfriend, what was your initial thought?
Brother Hannah, I'm going to share a few things with you that I've shared with nobody. Because when I'm speaking to you, it's almost like I'm speaking to one of the partners, speaking to one of the homies, one of the OGs. From the old school, from the hood. So I'm going straight with you and just give it to you the way it really is.
Yes,
as much as I can, because I don't want to jeopardize convicting anybody in this case. Because real people should be charged. They play different roles, but they also charged too with the subsequent cover-up of what happened after young Maleah was killed in our opinion.
I ask what that question was, if you don't mind, or is that, do you think it'll jeopardize the case?
No, I'll share it with you, brother. I said, Brittany, how could you cover up child abuse for that man when she admitted that he was beating that baby with a belt when she was sick? I said, Brittany, he whooped this girl when she was sick. She said, yes. I said, how could you, knowing this man was whooping your daughter when she was sick, knowing that this man beat her so bad one time, you wanted to take this child to the emergency room, but you chose not to, and he talked you out of it. You get naked pictures, he's sending to another man, and you want to break it off. You're ending you all's relationship through just telling him via text messages. You got all of this madness he's done to this child before it's time for you to go to your father's funeral, but yet you still leave your baby with this man. And to be honest with you, the answer she gave me was a bullshit answer. And I'm sorry for my language.
No. Yeah.
But
well, Mr. X, do you, because I know there were problems before, and I know we haven't gotten to where we are now, so I just wanted to backtrack those that may, I'm assuming that there may be somebody in the audience that may not know about young Maleah's case. But I know that CPS had taken her and two of her siblings out of the household. Do you have any information on as to why they allowed the child back into the home afterwards?
they allowed the child back into the home because through the CPS investigation and the court involvement, they could not make a final determination if Derion or Brittany caused the physical injuries to Maleah. So what they did, and the judge played an important role in this, because the ultimate and final decision was served. They put the child back in the home because they could not make a final determination. Brittany or Derion had caused the physical injuries to Maleah. If that was the case, then it was Judge Lopez's responsibility to send Maleah to her father, send Maleah to her uncle, to her auntie, to her grandmother. And if that does not work with immediate family placement, then send the child to a loving home in your home so you can get down to the bottom of what's going on. But you don't put that baby back into a environment when you know she was physically abused. And just because you can't make a determination of which one actually did it, you don't send them back home.
Okay, and I agree with that 100%. So why did little Maleah's father, why did her actual father have the right to come take his child at any time?
Brother,
And I may be asking you questions that you don't have the answer to. It's just when we hear the case, there are so many confusing points on it that we as the public, we're trying to understand, but we just don't understand.
I raised questions like that because I wanted to know where we're
right.
And to be honest with you, the brother was seriously ostracized from his daughter by both Brittany and Derion. And the brother was pushed away aggressively when they didn't want him to be around young Maleah.
Wow.
Because they felt they could use the lack of financial responsibility for the child on his part as justification to keep him from his daughter. But that the real motive was for him not to see the injuries that Maleah required in the home. And so, to say because a man is not financially what you want him to be, you hide behind that lie. That baby from her father. But when he did find out, I don't know why brother did become much more aggressive in getting his daughter. That is a question that must be posed to him.
Yes, sir. Mr. X, now before we get to Vence, I know there was a place in there where you decided not to represent alongside Brittany. And if you don't mind me asking, I'm just curious, what was the conclusion that made you say I can no longer be on this person's team to help them out in this situation?
We had just left Channel 11. to me because I knew even though she had lied, it was still on public record that she was lying and it could easily be proven with everything that we had gathered and we had learned. And when we got in my car, I asked her to ride with me. I wanted to talk to her. And when she was in my car, I asked her, how do you think Maleah really died? And I asked her what she think happened. Her answer brought me to a factual conclusion that the initial injury that was caused to Maleah was no accident. And that is exactly what was repeated in causing Maleah's death. And at that point, I'm saying to myself, how is the world could she keep all this to herself? How can you not tell investigators all this other stuff that you know? And so I got on the phone and told her to go speak with the investigator. It was a little bit before the Channel 11 interview. Because I told her to share everything with the investigator, which she did. And when we was in my car, I came to that conclusion.
Was she still trying to take up for Mr. Vence, you think, or shame? She was ashamed, and I guess I'm asking you to imagine what the idea was, or as to why this person was responding the way she was responding.
It's no accident or conversational coincidence that you ask that question. And that's a good question. I'm going to be honest with you about something. I'm going to tell the truth right now. He never, ever, ever, ever said one negative thing about Jailhouse. Not one time. Even after he was charged with tampering with her daughter's body, he still spoke of him in an affectionate term. And when I found out that she was communicating with his brother, who was going to visit him in jail, sending messages through the brother to give to him. And when I found out, so her sister, I can tell the man everything.
Wow.
And then the sister told me the other things she didn't want me to know. And then I confronted Brittany with it. And I was done. At that point, brother Hatter, I couldn't take it no more.
Understand? So how were you able to then start speaking to Vence and then get him to a point where he was willing, able? I'm just curious because no other investigators were able to get this information about this child out. And we were everyone watching this saying that we know that this guy knows something. But what was it that you said, and how'd you get in contact? Did he ask for you? How did you get there? How were you able to convince him that now is the time for him to say something about this little baby?
Well, let me say this. After my last conversation with Brittany in my vehicle, I made sure within 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, it was just 48 hours, I went straight to the district attorney's office to share with them everything the homicide investigators did not know. In fact, to be honest with you, there were some very, very good homicide investigators working this case. These were two very good lead investigators, but they had absolutely nothing. And so I'm sharing things with them, giving them things that they don't even have. To the point where I said, yes, just come in. Let's sit down. Let's go into further greater detail. This case had really gone cold. Because they were saying to the family, if we get a tip, if we get a lead, then we can go on something. But they knew no face, no murder case.
Right.
They knew it. No
when does Quanell X enter into the picture, being able to speak to Vence? Was a family member asking you to speak to them, or did you just say, I'm gonna just see if I can get this guy to talk to me one-on-one candidly about young Maleah's situation?
Brother, there was a source inside the jail. A brother who I've known for years from the street, who got in contact with me through a third person and said, you need to come speak to me that, because he is saying that he would like to speak. Told me that early in the week. I kind of just, okay, I get these things all the time. But when it comes from a brother like that, then I know he's credible. He's proof behind it. And I'm going to tell you what happened. Friday, late Thursday night, my daughter.
You guys having problems hearing it? Hold on a second. I see some of you in the chat are saying that you're having some issues hearing what's being said. Give me a minute. I have a solution for that. Hold on. Give me a second. One moment. Let's see here. Bear with me here. Let me add a device here. Okay. One second. Guys, just bear with me here. I'm going to make this a little bit louder here. Bear with me. I have an actual microphone here. Hold on. Pull my mic out. I'm trying to Bluetooth the speaker here, and of course, nothing ever works live. Let me go ahead and let this play, though, for those that can hear, and I will fix that in the background, guys.
Daddy, I had a dream about you. I said, well, okay, baby, what's your dream? He said, Daddy, I dreamed that you were in a open field, and there was a bunch of police around you, and y'all had bags in your hands, and y'all was digging in the ground, taking body parts out the ground. And she said, and it was in Texas, but right out of Texas. They were, honey, how did you get Texas? You went out of Texas. He said, Daddy, I don't know, but I'm telling you, I had a dream. Y'all found that girl. I left it at that.
So I guess his daughter's like a person that sees the future now.
And when he began to talk to me and tell me things and answer questions, it was like my daughter's conversation hit me like a ton of bricks.
And X, this is your only meeting with this guy when he tells you all this stuff? The only meeting, your first meeting?
I think what it's about 30 minutes. My first and only meeting. My first and only meeting. We met for about 30 minutes.
Wow. So in this 30 minutes, you're able to talk to him, and is he just talking freely, or do you have to convince him, like, hey man, I know that you know where the baby's body is, you know what happened?
We had a
All right.
man-to-man conversation. He was a bit cocky. There was no remorse, none.
He was cocky based on what?
The dialogue between him and
I hope that's better, guys.
Cocky?
To be honest with you, it was like two street cats having a serious conversation.
I hope you guys can hear better now. Let me know.
Brothers in the street real with me, and I damn sure was real with him.
Right.
So we kept it very real with each other. And I used the techniques that I learned in the Nation of Islam in FOI class. I've never said this publicly, but the manual that I use to extract confessions from so many murderers is the manual that was given to us in the FOI class in the Nation. And I tried my best to master that book over the years, but I've never failed. I've never failed. Now I've turned in 56 murders. This is my fourth case where a child was recently killed, and I was able to extract confession from one of the parents of who killed the child.
Did he easily answer the question? Did it take time? Well, it was 30 minutes, so it seemed like you got right to it.
We had a straight up conversation, man. It wasn't one of them conversations good to my leg and tell me it's right.
Right.
It was a straight dialogue, man to man. Tell me where you at, tell you where I'm at. And I'm trying to be as delicate as possible.
No, and I understand, and I appreciate that,
because that conversation is going to play out big time in another arena in the future.
Right, I understand. So he was pretty forthright in telling you all the information that you needed to know. He went pretty much in deep. He went in detail. Absolutely. Did he tell you exactly? And you probably cannot say, but I'm asking anyway. What did he tell you exactly why he did what he did?
He gave me some ideas.
Okay.
And he gave me some things that pushed it. One thing in particular was he felt that he was the sole parent for the children. And he was overwhelmed because Brittany was not the proper parent that she should be, in his opinion. But who was he to determine what the proper parent?
Yes, sir.
But at the same time, he was saying she was not helping with the children, rehabilitate Maleah's rehabilitation, a doctor's appointment, etc., taking her back and forth to daycare, etc. And he just felt that she wasn't helping him. But also, we learned that he was having an affair. And we were able to meet the woman and talk with the woman at length with whom he was having an affair with, who shared great information for me that I was able to extract from that conversation in my dialogue that was useful when I talked to him.
Right. And he was clear with you. In his opinion, it was accidental what has happened to her. And if accidental, what makes him then take the child and dispose of the child and then travel very far to get rid of the child's body?
Well,
if you can say.
First of all, brother, an accident is something that you do that you don't intend to do.
Yes, sir.
But when you intend to do something, you meant exactly what you did. You may be sorry for it later, but your actions were not an accident because you intended to inflict the harm that you caused.
Yes.
So, yes, he said it was an accident, but it was no damn accident.
Right, right.
This was hatred and retaliation.
How soon after you had this conversation with him about where the body possibly could be, were you able to get the team out there and start searching? Because to my understanding now, and I'm not really sure where you are, but to my understanding, they found a bag, and the suspicion is that this is the body of the baby.
Oh, I can guarantee you it is.
So so he was that accurate in telling you exactly where this baby?
No, all the way down to the clothes that he would have on.
All right, so I'm going to pause that there. If you guys want to go see the rest of this particular interview, please go check it out. It is Mad Hatta. It's on 97.9, The Box, which is based out of Houston, which is why I wanted to show a little love there. That's Texas, as you guys know, is my home. And so anyway, I do want to show you some of these other interviews that he has been doing recently. And the way that I love to filter stuff is if I want to look for something, I know I do a lot of technical talk, but I want to see, you know, an upload date of things done in the past week. And that way I can filter out, you know, what I want to see or, you know, old stuff basically. So let's filter and let's take a look. And because I seen the question, like, what was the last interview that he did? And so it looks like it may have been this one here. And let's just take a look at this. Let's see here. I have not seen this. So I'm seeing it the first time, just like with all of you. I thank all of you for still hanging out and being here.
Good afternoon, Brother Quanell X.
Well, yeah, that is the same one. So that is a classic example of somebody uploading someone's entire content and not even giving credit to that person. So remember Planet of the Fakes drama from the other day? Look, now they have a Maleah Davis Planet of the Fakes YouTube channel. Unbelievable, these people. Unbelievable. So as far as like the last interviews he's done, so far I'm only seeing the last one being Mad Hatter, but I know that he's done others. But again, they may have updated these and you know, uploaded these, and the times may not be you know, correct or whatnot. But let me go ahead and play this one, and then we're going to get to some of your comments and questions. This one is only, it looks like 3 minutes. I'm interested to hear this here. This is Crime and Coffee's channel. Hopefully they're just going to play the interview. And we'll see.
This article is by Electronic.
No, this I hate electronic stuff. Let's see here. Let me look for one more, and if I don't find it, we'll just move on to your questions, guys. Give me a second. This is everything. Okay, here was what I wanted to show you. All right. Let's
continue to push
take a look at this.
In the Maleah Davis case.
Yeah, many questions remain, some of which have been posed by you via email. One is, how was Malia killed? Her cause of death has not been released yet. Those tests are still being conducted. We're checking several times a day for you for those results.
Another question, will Derion Vence's charges be upgraded? We are checking on that as well. The district attorney's office tells Channel 2 News they don't expect anything before next week.
And tonight there is a new development. A subpoena has been filed for Quanell X's phone records. Robert Arnold revealed that fact to Quanell today.
Wow, he ripped it up.
Newsroom, and Robert Quanell's reaction was a strong one.
Absolutely. Now, about 24 hours before Quanell X met with Derion Vence at the jail and learned the location of Maleah's body, that came after a big change in the case. The day before that visit, Vence's first attorney withdrew from the case, and a new attorney had to be appointed. And sources tell us the new defense team wants to know if Quanell was working with detectives before he met with Vence. This was Quanell's response.
Well, let me say to Darion's attorneys.
To be clear, that subpoena is directed at Quanell's cell phone carrier, not him. However, we did ask whether Quanell spoke with HPD investigators prior to meeting with Derion Vence at the jail on Friday.
I never spoke with investigators about if I was going to talk to him or visit him. None of that. I had never spoken to him until after he confessed.
As for why Quanell visited Vence that day, Quanell says his own daughter told him she had a dream that he found Malia.
When she told me that, I got dressed and took that as a sign to go talk to Derion.
As we reported, following Quanell's meeting with Vence, investigators found Maleah's body in Arkansas. He also said Vence told him that what happened to Malia was an accident.
That's a kinder, gentler way of admitting that you did something to this child. I believe that what he did was deliberate
We also asked about what he says were Vence's comment about being unfairly portrayed.
May I just say something really quick? The more interviews that I see, the more that Quanell's kind of changing stuff. Now, previous to this, he was very consistent when he was saying that it was an accident. It was an accident. Now he's saying that it was deliberate. Okay.
How does he feel he should be portrayed?
He felt that he was both parents to the children, mother and father.
Now that is consistent.
He felt he was a fit parent?
Who in the hell is he to qualify somebody who's fit? I agree with you.
Are you concerned about his confession being suppressed?
Not really. But I say to the lawyer, get ready. Because I'll be well prepared to defend exactly what he said to me.
Quanell also says he was not paid by Maleah's mother, Brittany Bowens, during the time he represented her.
My duty is to find Maleah. My duty is to the baby.
As for the subpoena?
I'll let my lawyers decide what they want to do with that.
Okay. Now, Vence's defense attorney had no comment today. He did ask the judge to prevent Quanell from visiting his client. Again, court records show that motion was denied. Houston police also declined to comment, citing the ongoing investigation. As far as the reward money goes, Crime Stoppers does not pay activists, and Quanell says he has no interest in the money HPD was offering for Maleah's recovery. In fact, HPD officials say no decision has been made yet as to who may get that portion of the reward. Live in the newsroom, Robert Arnold, KPRC, Channel 2 News.
Thank you, Robert.
All right, guys. So at this point, let me go back on camera here and let's finish this discussion. I pulled out my little mic so you guys could hear a little bit better. Hold on. So, essentially, I just want Quanell to be really, really careful, because if he continues doing these interviews, ripping subpoenas up to make statements, and things like that, he could potentially hurt this case. And I definitely don't want to see Derion Vence walk. And so I can tell you that what I know as far as what investigators are looking at as far as people is 3 people total. Investigators are absolutely looking at Derion Vence. He's in jail for tampering with evidence, particularly a human corpse. And then I know for a fact that they're looking at Brittany. And I know that they're also looking at Derion's brother. Now, I don't know what all involvement Derion's brother had, as far as the death of Maleah or, in this case. But I have heard, and I've heard speculation that he may have dropped Derion off at the hospital, although I don't believe that, and that he may have driven with Derion to Arkansas, though I don't believe that either. And the reason why is because if that was the case, they would have did that before Brittany got home on May the 4th. See, to me, that is a link. That, why is it that on May the 4th, the day Brittany comes home, is the day that he got dropped off at the hospital in her car? You know what I'm saying? So to me, I don't know of any other details, with the brother, like things that I just mentioned, in which he would be charged with. But there is discussion that he hid his brother out. And that he may have, removed evidence and things like that for his brother. And so those are all things police are looking at. And I can, when the police put out that statement the other day that I showed you guys in a previous live, and they were very, very clear that they were going to go after those person or persons, plural, that, killed Maleah, but also those that attempted to cover up her death. And that statement sticks out. It stuck out to me. It sticks out to a lot of people. It's very, very obvious that they are looking just by that statement at everyone involved. So anyone that would have helped cover up this crime, they can be charged as an accessory, just like they're the murderer themselves. In the state of Texas, you can come after the fact, after the murder has happened. But if you help cover that murder up, you can be charged just like you did that murder. Okay. So it's a lot, you know, there's a lot of people involved in this. And, you know, I wanted to go live and I wanted to talk about, you know, these things. Now, Anita Watson just left a comment. It's so interesting that you just left this comment. She says to a person, Raven Smiles, I remember her ass kneeling over on the ground when the car was found, old fake ass. Can I show you guys just one more thing really quick before we end this live? Hold on. Give me a moment. I want to show you guys one more thing before we end this live. And it is actually a video of that whenever the car was found and how Brittany showed up to that location and proceeded to do this, you know, this huge, you know, scene. It made a really, really big scene, actually. Give me a second. I'm bringing up the video. Hold on. And I actually received this when it happened, but give me a second. I gotta get it. Because, you know, I want to show, you know, she doesn't seem to ever cry about much of anything, but man, she sure did, you know, go crazy when that happened. So let me just share this out really quick. Hopefully I can do this. Give me a second. Won't even, it's not, you know, I hate, some things don't show up. Give me 1 second. Let me actually send this video to a different account here. Hold on. May have issues showing it here. Hold on. Dang it. Let me try another avenue here. Hold on. Let's see. Brittany Bowens. Car found. She threw a fit out there. She was, you know, screaming. She was crying. She was making a really big scene. She was all bent over, you know, slamming her, you know, her fists on the ground. And it's like, to me, I'm like, well, if you drove him to the hospital, and you're doing all of that, you know, throwing this huge fit, you know, punching the ground, slapping your hands on the ground. And if it was really you that drove him to the hospital and then ditched that car where that car was found, man, you are so fake if that's, you know, what happened. I don't have a way to show you this video right now. My apologies, but what I'll do is I'll upload it to my Instagram page. Unfortunately, Google Hangouts has issues like certain things. Well, actually, if I was to share my entire screen, maybe that would do it. Hold on. Let me try one more thing. Let me unlock that taskbar. And I really don't give a damn what y'all see on my taskbar. I have nothing to hide. Let me try to share the whole screen. And let me see if it'll show like this. Hold on. Sorry, one proud grandma. You're in my live. Your IG's in my live, babe. All right, here we go. Let's see if you guys can see this. This was her when she actually, when they found the car. This is her at the scene, slamming her fists on the ground. Can you guys see that? I hope you can. Okay. Now, I hear you about the insurance. I have also heard that there was some insurance on Maleah. I don't know that to be true, though. That has not been confirmed. And of course, that is information that, we have to wait for the police to come out and give us. Okay. But yeah, this is her acting. This is her at the, location where the vehicle was found, her, down on her knees, slamming her fists in her, into the ground, crying, screaming out. We'll let it play one more time. But look at they're recording her. It was just, why don't you have that much anger, for everything else that goes on in your, that everything else going on in this case? Why don't you have that much anger for, your daughter's supposed alleged killer, Derion Vence? I said this in my other live. Not one time in her interview did she ever bring up Derion Vence. Even when she was asked questions about him, even when she was asked questions about, how do you feel about this, about what's happened, etc., she never had a single bad thing or even one single thing to say about Derion Vence. And so I would say Quanell X has been saying that as well. So that's obviously not a lie. Not one time on camera have I ever heard her say anything bad about Derion. Not during those lives that she did with her friends. That was the most ghettoest ass shit I've ever seen. Not when she's been on any of her interviews with the news, the news agencies down in Houston, and not even after her daughter's body was confirmed. Not one time has she had anything to say about Derion Vence. And as a mother, if that was my daughter and that man was in jail for tampering with her body, and I suspected him of killing my child, I'd be saying so much about him, you would have to tape my mouth shut. And so, I mean, I think that speaks volumes to me. She's had chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. And don't think, when she did that interview, I think it was actually 2 days ago, and I've been saying yesterday, when she did that interview, guys, Quanell X had been out here on his interview sprees. So I know she was watching his interviews. He went on his interview sprees the day after Maleah's body was even brought back from Arkansas. And so, I know she's watched them. And the fact that she even after hearing Quanell X say, the woman never spoke a bad word about Derion, never had anything to say about him, she still didn't even prep for that. We could tell the interview with ABC 13, she absolutely prepped for that. Absolutely prepped for that. But why is she staying so silent and mum on her daughter's possible killer? Why is she trying to hide and lie and deflect about the times that she was at home and how long she was at home with Maleah that morning? There's only one reason someone does that, and that's to hide something. So I think that I've been here long enough. It looks like Male is going live as well about the Maleah Davis case. If you guys haven't checked out Male's channel, he's out, he's on YouTube, great YouTuber. He does great videos. And he did a wonderful interview on his part with Derion Vence's father. He allowed me to review that interview on my YouTube channel. And so I'm still very appreciative of that. And because ultimately, guys, this is about Maleah. This isn't about, you got my content, you got this, you used it, you showed this on your live show. It shouldn't even be about any of that. Like, the more the word gets out, the better. And when you display someone else's content on your live, you're only giving them promotion. So it's kind of crazy when people strike you for promoting them, right? But let's get to some of these comments, and then I'm going to go ahead and let you guys get to the rest of your night. Unpopular opinion says, those texts about a package at the door and smoking cigarettes and she didn't know she was in the house is suspect. And all the talk about being set up, shaking my head. I know, I agree. And the dip in the times where there's obviously some conversation that happened there that we didn't get to see. That's because I feel like Brittany is the one that leaked those text messages. Let's see here. Christina mentions she's always wearing them glasses, looking retarded because she's hiding those non-crying eyes. I mentioned this on my live the other day about that. Why would you do an interview? And I had been calling for her to go and do an interview for like 2 or 3 days. I had did a few live videos. And I know that she is aware of my channel, and I know she's aware of my videos. So is Craig Davis, the father. He's been in one of our lives before. You guys were actually correct. The other day, he was actually in our live speaking. I matched up the name with something on IG. I mentioned the fact that she had these glasses on. It's like, who goes and does an interview of such an intense and important nature and wears sunglasses through the whole thing? Seriously. It looked like they were sitting outside somewhere, but that's not an excuse. We need to see what's your eyes. We need to see the windows into your soul. And I think the reason that she had the glasses on is because she's not crying. Her eyes are not swollen from tears. I mean, you guys have, I know many of you out there have lost a family member in your life or a very good friend in your life. I've lost family members in my life and good friends in my life. And I remember, when I've been through situations like that, I've cried so much that my eyes were swollen the next day. You know what I'm saying? And being the fact she did this interview the day after her daughter's body was confirmed. And, it felt to me like she was covering her eyes, not because she had been crying, but because she didn't want us to see that she had not been crying and that she did not seem very remorseful in her eyes at all, in my opinion. This is all my opinion. Let's see here. Nikki Bowman, you bring up a really good point, and maybe this is why, Brittany Bowens hasn't said anything about Derion Vence. She's scared to say anything about him. She don't want him to out her. Maybe. Let's see here. Let's read a couple more comments here. Rena S. Because Brittany killed her daughter and Vince is the one covering up for her. That is an absolute possibility. I don't think even the police have ruled out that possibility, honestly. I think their statement was pretty clear when they said they will go to the ends of the earth to find out the person or persons responsible for the death of Maleah, okay? Including those that even attempted to cover up, not that covered up, that even attempted to cover up. And I think that Brittany Bowens is going to face some charges. I really do. And I think that his brother may face some charges too. It's very possible. Let's see here. Nikki Bowman also says, I believe the package she's talking about in those text messages is Maleah's body. I don't know. The fact that there is, the screenshots of an actual package being delivered, about that time, it kind of rules that out. But again, those text messages were chopped up. They weren't in their full entirety. And until I see them in their full entirety, it's clear speculation to me, as far as that is concerned. Let's see here. Chrissy is listening. She set it up so she would know now, wouldn't she? Good point. And then Girl, and that's literally the name Girl. I don't know how you got a YouTube name by just Girl. That's pretty cool. Says that poor baby didn't even have her helmet on. You guys, I seen so many videos and pictures after her brain surgery, and I didn't see her helmet on her, but except for when she was in the hospital. I don't recall seeing any other pictures with her having that helmet on. And it's important to wear that helmet after brain surgery because children, they're clumsy, and if she would have fell and hit the wall, all sorts of things. I mean, after brain surgery anyway, I mean, you have to think about it. When you're operating on your brain, it affects the body. If you operate, say up here at the parietal lobe, right? Or if you have a brain tumor up on your parietal lobe or whatever, it could affect your motor skills. If you had a tumor or an injury to your frontal lobe, it could affect your memory. It could affect your attitude. It could affect your behavior, right? So every part of the brain has a behavior, okay? And so the helmet is critical because kids are not adults where they would watch out as closely, to protect their head from any damage after going through a brain surgery. I've been through one. I know. I didn't wear a helmet, but, I'm pretty sure if I would have been a child, I would have had one on. And I mean, I had the whole horseshoe going on. So, I never really, and to me, that shows Brittany's neglect of her child. And for her to sit in that interview and say that she was an affectionate mother, she was a loving mother, her kids knew that she loved them, and she was so glad that that Maleah died knowing that her mommy loved her and all this kind of nonsense. I was like, really, bitch? From everybody, even your own mama has said that you weren't really a presence in their life. Everyone that have read or researched on this story, literally, I'm not kidding you, they've all said that Derion was the main parent in that household. He worked, he cleaned, he cooked. They said that she did nothing. Big, fat, lazy. Now, I know she went to school, but I don't know if she graduated. I have no idea. So, I feel like, and as Angel Heart says here, I cried more for her baby than she has. I feel like I have too. I feel like a lot of us here on this live, a lot of you guys who come and watch these lives that I do, and the ones that I interact with online, especially on Instagram, which is my main, my main social media source. I feel like we have really bonded over this case. And I feel like we care more about Maleah Davis than her own mama does too. I had did a couple of lives in one day on this case. And I remember I accidentally broke down on camera. Now, I've never done that at all. And all of the 9 years I've been blogging, 8 or 9 years I've been blogging. And I've covered a lot of crimes and justice cases. I mean, that's my main thing is crimes and justice. And I've never, ever broken down. And I've talked about murder cases of children, murder cases of adults. I've talked about a lot of stuff. Police brutality is another one that I'm really particular about. And I've never broken down before. And for some reason that day, it just came out and I couldn't stop it. It just happened. And it just kind of goes to show that there are strangers that care more about this woman's child than she does. Seriously. She wasn't even there when they brought her daughter's body off of that plane. She has not been named as a suspect, although we all know that she is being investigated. She's not been named as a suspect. She had no reason to not be there when her child's body came off that damn plane from Arkansas. And to me, that told me a lot right there. Although a lot of her behaviors before that told me a lot. But come on, man. Come on. They didn't take that plane to Arkansas and, this confession that happened and they actually found a body and then you're not even there. Quanell X is there. All these people that were there were complete strangers to Maleah. Maleah knew none of those people that flew her home, that were on that plane, knew none of those detectives, yet Not a single family member there when her body came home. I'm really interested in the details of the funeral arrangements. I have been doing research on that. There's absolutely nothing confirmed on that, but I promise you, as soon as I get any information on any funeral arrangements at all, I will absolutely go live and bring that to you. My understanding is there's 2 people that's currently making funeral arrangements, and Brittany is not one of them. Why? I don't know. I don't know if she doesn't want to, if she chose these people. I just don't know yet. That's something I'm currently researching. And you know me, somebody else may drop the information first, but I'm not going to drop it until I know it for a fact. So, I'm not going to put speculation out there as fact or lies out there as fact, like our favorite blogger or unfavorite blogger does over there on her side of the world. Let's see here. So Keisha Lewis says, this bitch will not be there on Sunday for this baby walk on Sunday. Me and my family will be there. Yes, there is a walk that's happening this Sunday. And I'll actually, really quick before I even end this live, let me go ahead and just give y'all the details on that. Hold on a second. Because if anybody's in the Houston area that wants to do this on this coming Sunday, absolutely show up and show your support. But I promise you, Brittany won't be there. She won't. She's not been at a single vigil. She has not been at a single anything for her child. So I know Houston City Hall is going to be lighting up pink Sunday, right? I read that at the very beginning of the live. And the walk with Maleah. So let's see here. Craig Davis, Maleah Davis's biological father. Hold on.
Craig Davis tells me that Maleah was his heart,
Hold on. Let me share this with you guys. We're almost done here, but let me share this. And this is a good way for us to go out, I think, on the live. This information about the walk for Maleah this coming Sunday. Let's let this play.
Love. He says that he could hardly find the words to describe his pain, adding that although it's been a month that all this has been going on, it feels like it all just happened today. Getting that painful confirmation from the medical examiner. Tonight, Maleah Davis's entire family is mourning, and the city, along with friends, they're preparing to honor her this weekend. Her face, her smile, her story, it's all so captivating.
Happy birthday, dear Maleah.
This is Maleah Davis. And at 4 years old, her life was cut way too short. This baby girl put in a trash bag and left on the side of a road hours away from home in Arkansas.
It's heartless. It's completely heartless. I just couldn't imagine, what Brittany and Craig is going through at this time, their emotions.
Sheila Davis connected to Maleah's story when she learned about it, and she grew close to her family. Today, she sits with me to talk about what they're planning, an event they hope will be larger than life.
That's pretty much what I'm trying to do. Just as for her to say that, hey, baby, we got you. We support you.
Walk with Maleah is what Sheila is calling the event. She hopes hundreds will join her and Maleah's family Sunday outside of City Hall at 7:54 a.m. The very last time Maleah was believed to be seen alive on surveillance, she was following behind Derion Vence in her pink tutu. Pink, the color this innocent baby loved, the color Sheila hopes everyone will wear in honor of her on Sunday.
To give Maleah her day, celebrate her, walk for justice.
And the city of Houston is on board with this event. Mayor Turner telling us that City Hall, which you see here next to me, is going to be lit up pink in honor of Maleah Davis. Right now, we know that they are planning this event to end the walk at the jail, and they will have all of the children participating, shouting Maleah's name, and hopes that Derion Vence, who is still in jail tonight, will hear that on Sunday. Maida and Eric.
Thank you.
So everyone is invited to join Maleah's family and friends Sunday outside of City Hall. Again, it's going to be at 7:54 a.m. Hold on. It's going to be at 7:54 a.m. You know, and more details are, you know, definitely on, you know, across media. If you want any information on it, let me know. I'll be more than happy to send it to you. To be honest, I'm considering going myself. So it's very possible you may see me in Houston this coming Saturday, this coming Sunday for that walk. If anybody's interested in you know, meeting up with me in Houston, you know, if I do come, let me know. I'm very accessible on Instagram at LeakYou, LeakYou. And I don't have a shirt, but if anyone has any shirts, put me one to the side, large, just a regular large shirt. I can even go to medium, but prefer large. I may actually show up, to be honest with you. So anyway, guys, I think that is a great way to end this live. You guys know me. I can go for 2 hours, sometimes hour and a half, 2 hours on these live streams, but there's so much information and details to cover. And I know I get very detailed and very thorough. And I know a lot of people are like, my attention span's not that long. I can't do these long videos. Well, I'm sorry. I drop pre-shared videos or pre-live videos where, you know, I just do a video and they're not as long, but my lives do tend to be a little bit longer. So my apologies. But if anyone's interested in meeting up with me on this weekend, especially for the walk Sunday for Maleah, let me know. DM me on Instagram and let's see if we can make this happen. I'll drive down to Houston and absolutely show my support. And so anyway, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming into this live, discussing this case and the latest details and updates on this case. Any information that comes out, I'll absolutely continue to monitor the story and provide that to you. It was a pleasure speaking with all of you, you know, tonight, and thank you very much. And until next time, see you guys later.